Hello everyone, welcome back to the Shifting Metal 2.0 channel. This channel is dedicated to Bero Motors and everything we do within the car trade. And something that's come to my attention this week that I thought I would bring up in a video. So whether you are a car dealer or you've ever considered financing a car, you've probably heard of third-party finance companies, and I thought we'd talk about those because there's a couple of things that are really worrying me about those at the moment. And there's another thing I want to talk about as well, which is admin fees from dealers. So what we're talking about today is third-party finance companies. So if you were to go online, like I've done here, I've typed in car finance online, you've got the likes of Carmoola, Car Loans 365, Cinch, Car Finance 24/7, you've got Zuto, those types of people. So they're not actually lenders, they're obviously not car dealers, they sit in the middle, they're brokers. They're just helping you get approved for finance, tell you what rate you can have, and then try and link you up with a car dealer in order to buy a car. It's not a bad system really, and it works quite well if you're what you'd call a subprime borrower. You know, perhaps you've got some bad credit history. They can probably help you out where some others might not, because they specialise in that. That's not to say that everyone uses them is a subprime customer, but they do have a big market for that. I have just recently, at Bero Motors, introduced a fee if we're working with a third-party finance company. We charge £300, which ultimately the customer is going to have to pay, which I understand is a bit of a bitter pill to swallow. But there are reasons for that, and as we go on through this video, you'll understand why, as car dealers, I think we should be charging a fee, because the broker is having their cake and eating it, really, and it's car dealers and customers who are losing out. So the reason I like to charge a fee is because normally if we were facilitating finance, which you can do via most dealers if they're FCA regulated, then we would get a commission. And they're usually pretty modest these days. It's all up front, the customer is made aware. In fact, there's an initial disclosure document which you give to the customer long before you even do any quotes, just so they know there's a fair chance that you'll be earning some commission. But it's just as well, because when you're doing a finance deal, they're a lot more complicated. There's a lot more moving parts and you have to do an awful lot of admin. Sending off driving licenses, sending off the invoices in a specific way with the correct lender and all that sort of stuff across to the lender. You might have to get a picture of the customer with it. You're going to have to sit down, go through the form, ask them everywhere they've lived for the last 6 years or so. And it just is very, very time consuming. There's a lot of paperwork going back and forth. So, I mean, that makes sense why you would want to charge an admin fee, I think. The other reason is because most of these lenders, or brokers I should say, also want to charge dealers a fee for having brought a customer to them, which is quite cheeky, I think. And sometimes what happens there is dealers and the broker will negotiate and say, well, we won't charge a fee if you don't charge a fee. When in reality, you can't pick and choose who you charge an admin fee to. Legally, you have to either charge an admin fee or don't. You can't prejudice against someone who's borrowing on finance. So we charge a fee and that is it, and we're not negotiating on it. And the other reason we don't like to negotiate on that is because if that's a deal clincher for someone who's buying this car and they're using a third-party warranty, it's probably not the right type of customer for us, because it probably means they haven't got the disposable income they're going to need to maintain this car, and it could mean a lot of headaches for us going down the line when it comes to a tyre's gone flat or something minor's happened that would be normal wear and tear on a car. That customer is probably going to be expecting us to pay for it because they're still paying a finance payment. They think that the dealer is responsible to keep the car fixed for them as if they were renting it, which isn't how it works. What's made this even worse recently is the fact that a lot of these third-party brokers are now asking dealers to sign a personal guarantee form. So they're asking the director of the business, who is protected from some of these things by having a limited company, to sign a personal guarantee that they will basically honour that car, that deal, for the lifetime of the finance agreement. So that finance deal is 5 years. In fact, they're going some even longer these days, even on used cars to sort of 7 years. You are signing over to say that while the business isn't responsible and while there's no responsibility as far as consumer rights go, that you'll personally say, do you know what, because you've brought me this lovely deal via finance, I'll guarantee it forever. So should this customer have a problem 3 years down the line, you will come back to me and I'll be on the hook to try and fix it, even though it's way beyond consumer rights. Absolutely crazy. And anyone who is signing that document is an absolute idiot. And that includes me, because I think I've signed one. I had a document put in front of me maybe a week or two ago, which I signed because it had been sold to our salesman, who then repeated this to me, that it was to cover the gap between getting paid for a car and the customer collecting the car, and then us paying off the finance that was on the car, because this was a sale or return car. So there was a few moving parts, and the way they sort of sold it to us was that they wanted a bit of security, which was me personally signing to say, look, if anything goes wrong with this deal, I'll cover it, which I was happy to do because I knew everything was going to come along and work out fine. But stupidly, I didn't read it through, and what I've actually signed for there is on that deal to personally guarantee it, which is upsetting because I would never want to do that. And I need to make sure that we don't ever do any more deals of those, or I get that contract redacted, because I think that's ridiculous. And there's been quite a bit of talk of it in the trade. It's unbelievable, because we already have enough trouble when it comes to selling cars on finance, especially when it's a third-party broker, because they always just try and put all responsibility back onto the dealer, and these are customers who generally like to complain a little bit more and have far less realistic expectations of what that car is going to be like. What's happened in the scenarios where I and other dealers that I know have said we are not going to sign a personal guarantee, they'll say, okay, well, we will still deal with this deal with you, but we won't offer any more deals to you, as if like it's going to really upset us. And in fact, when I was talking about this, I had one where I was talking about the fact that I was insisting that we would charge a £300 admin fee, and one where I was insisting that I'm not going to sign a personal guarantee. They're basically just trying to bully you into taking a deal. And I said, I'm not interested, because frankly, I think the car will still sell. I still have a business without third-party, finance companies, but third-party finance companies don't have a business without car dealers. So personally, if you are a car dealer, I would highly recommend you do not sign a personal guarantee form. You are asking for trouble, and you are asking for financial headaches a lot further down the line than you would expect. And while we're on this topic, the other thing that I'm not very happy that third-party finance companies do is they will sell an extended warranty to your customer. So they're making extra money on that. They might charge them maybe £1,000 for 12 months, £2,000 for 2 years. Whatever the fee is, it's kind of irrelevant, but they'll be putting that money, putting it to the side, and they'll be selling that to the customer as a bit of extra assurance. It's above and beyond. It's just extra peace of mind that their car will be covered throughout their finance agreement. But what's happening more often than not is they're taking that money, putting it to one side to cover your claims, but rather than doing that and paying out to cover it, they will always roll it back down the hill to the car dealer, and they won't tell the car dealer that the person has got an extended warranty and there's a pot of money set aside by the finance company. They will expect the car dealer to fix it. What happens then is the car dealer saying, well, legally, I don't have to repair it. There's no reason why I should. The customer in the middle is getting mucked around because the finance company is saying, yeah, you've got a warranty and they'll fix it. They're not telling the dealer that. And the customer is not getting the kind of special treatment they should be getting, considering they paid a lot of money for a warranty, especially when that finance company isn't going to pay out. They're just going to try and insist that the dealer does it, especially when you can imagine they've made that dealer sign a personal guarantee, because they've got all the chips, haven't they? They're just going to say, well, if you don't, then we'll have to take you to court because you signed a document that said you would. And as I said earlier, they're having their cake and eating it. So just a very quick video that I wanted to make. There's a couple of things to keep in mind there. If you are either a car dealer and you are going to do deals with third-party companies, or you're looking to finance your car, it's always worth trying to go directly to the dealer, because usually 9 times out of 10 they can get you a better deal. Unless your credit's very bad, then fine, use a third-party company who's willing to get it for you. But just understand kind of the process that's happening here. They're not going to allow you to speak to the dealer. They're going to control everything, and there's a reason they want to do that. And that's because they're making plenty of money out of it, and probably because your interest rate is very high. If you're a car dealer, I highly recommend you do not sign a personal guarantee, no matter how they word it, what they say. I have no idea under what planet anyone would want to sign a personal guarantee for these situations and why that would be deemed necessary. I think the fact is that a lot of finance companies have been caught out recently doing things that they probably shouldn't have done, and now it's costing them an awful lot of money, and they think, well, what's an easy way we can get out of this? Let's make the dealer sign and say it's their responsibility. Choose your own choices, but I highly recommend you don't do that. If you are going to take out finance with a third-party company, then make sure you do your research, check the reviews. If they're offering you an extended warranty, then just be aware of what you're actually being sold. You might find that if you speak to the dealer, for example, we can offer you an extended warranty that we actually kind of warrant ourselves. You might get a better service, and it might be a lot cheaper. I have no idea how much these companies are charging, but knowledge is power, isn't it? So I would highly recommend that before you agree to an extended warranty with a third-party company who have never met you and have never seen the car that they're facilitating you buying, that you speak to the garage themselves and see if they can help you out, or perhaps you can get one yourself independently, because when it comes to the finance company, they've got an interest to be able to push that responsibility onto the car dealer, and that may just make it a very bad experience for you. Whereas if you're using someone third party, they've got no comeback, they've got no wriggle out of it. And if you're using the garage themselves, they also have to help you. They can't just wriggle out of it and say, oh no, it's that person's fault. Just a few things to think on. I wanted to get it out there and kind of share my thoughts on this, because there's a lot of talk going around, especially about these personal guarantees, because it's absolutely crazy. And at the end of the day, all this stuff is essentially going to make it more expensive for people to finance their cars. So keep that in mind. Hope you found it useful. So that is it for this video. I will see you on the next one. We'll be talking probably about Auto Trader in the near future and some of the funny things that's going on there as well. So make sure you subscribe for that one, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.